Is there any room on this Toronto Blue Jays roster for a bat like Joey Votto? Well, he's sitting around doing not much right now. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers join today and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. I'm Brady Wasco, your host, along with Carter First. We are your hosts of Locked On Blue Jays every day. My Twitter's Braden5Wasco. Carter's Carter First 2. We are pumped to be talking to you guys on a nice Friday edition of the show. We got some cool stuff to talk about, or maybe stuff that we could have debatably talked about earlier in the offseason, but it's coming around to the fact that Joey Votto is still available. And Carter, do you honest to God think that there's room for Joey Votto on this Toronto Blue Jays roster?
Yeah, before we get into that monster, I want to get into the monster that we're kind of having to deal with right now, and it's technology. We've been kind of getting thrown on for a loop right now. Our Wi-Fi in our apartment has decided to be non-existent. This is our third time now trying to record this intro. So far, so good. We're going to have to hopefully kind of just go through it. Hopefully it works out for us, but hopefully technology can be on our side for the rest of this podcast. As for Joey Votto, there was talks initially at the start of this year and this offseason that he could be coming to the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, when you look at it, it's a little bit more of a crowded dugout, so it's going to be tougher to get Joey Votto into this Toronto Blue Jays uniform, but he is Canadian. He is wanting to come back, has expressed some interest for wanting to play for his home team. So I'm just going to get into some Joey Votto stats from last season. They don't really jump at you off the page, unfortunately. So he had an average of 202, 14 home runs, 38 RBIs, a weighted runs created plus of 98. So is around that league average, and an OPS of 747. He had the second highest K rate of his career at 25.6%. I didn't read into too many other stats because, to be honest, they don't really look that good for Joey Votto. He is 40 years old. It's a guy that has had a great career, debatably a Hall of Fame career. But when you get to a certain point of age, you're going to lose a little bit of that skill set. Braden, I just want to pick your brain a little bit and how you feel about Joey Votto with the possibility of coming to this Toronto Blue Jays team, and what would his role look like if he were to come to the Toronto Blue Jays?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's sort of one of those fun things that maybe he can fit. Maybe we can find some room here. It is interesting because I mean he's gonna DH. You throw him anywhere else, and no thank you. And I mean he is a lefty bat, so that does bring in some stuff to the conversation. Thinking, okay, this team lacks lefties right now, so maybe that isn't the worst case to bring him in. Just even if it's for a bench bat in a bigger situation, he's got the experience. He knows how to play. He knows what to look for. But at the end of the day, is there room? Is it worth it? Probably not. But I do get a little sentimental about these old guys that I grew up watching. Obviously Canadian as well. So there are little things that make me want to believe in this. But again, I don't think that there's really there might be validity, but really, is there any purpose? Probably not.
Yeah, I'm just going to go into the reason that I think a lot of Blue Jays fans are starting to talk about Joey Votto a little bit more now. It's from a tweet from Buster Olney, and he says that he just had a broadcast with Joey Votto, and from Joey Votto, it sounds like he's dying to play. He lives 25 minutes from the Chase Park, could be a really good fit there, left-handed bat, and then he does offer the Angels as another possible fit. With Joey Votto, it sounds like you're pretty on the outskirts of him coming to the Toronto Blue Jays. In my opinion, I'm a lot more open to it, actually. I think there's a bunch of things that need to happen in order for Joey Votto to come to the Toronto Blue Jays. For starters, he's going to have to be on veteran minimum. You just look at the stats from last year, 202 average. He's not going to be playing a lot, obviously. You don't want that in your lineup consistently. So he'd have to get on a contract that the Blue Jays and him would have to agree on. And he made a post, actually, that said missing ball. So that's a little bit more incentive. Joey Votto, into spring training. He'd missed out on some of those spring training at bats. Probably would take a little bit longer to get back to where he was last season. And what was last season? Not great, to be honest. But saying a little more on the upside of Joey Votto, I just kind of looked into the home run numbers and the left-handed backs. Those are the two biggest things that jump out at me. And one thing when I was looking at Joey Votto's stats is that he did not play a lot of games, which in most cases would be not a great thing. But if you're putting this, and I'm trying to maybe a little bit of a spin zone here and looking at how Joey Votto could really help this team, when you compare his at bats and his home run numbers to some other guys, for example, Vladdy had 26 home runs in 602 plate appearances. Joey Votto had 14 home runs in 208 plate appearances. So if you compare the numbers and you put Joey Votto's projected numbers for 600 at bats, that's 42 home runs. That's a lot of home runs. It's a lot more home runs that we've seen in a Toronto Blue Jays uniform in a long time. Another guy, Yordan Alvarez, 410 at bats, 31 home runs. You get Joey Votto around those at bat numbers, that's 28. That's only 3 behind Yordan Alvarez, one of the best hitters in the league. Another guy, Ronald Acuna Jr., MVP of the NL, 643 at bats with 41 home runs. Obviously, a lot different play styles here, but you get Joey Votto's plate appearances up to 600. Is that going to happen? No, and this is all hypothetical. But Joey Votto has 42 home runs, and Ronald Acuna Jr. only has 41. So you're looking at these numbers, you do get a power bat from the left-hand side of the plate. And breaking it down even farther, you go to the bench for the Toronto Blue Jays. Who do you have there? You're going to have one of the catchers for sure. David Schneider and Cavan Biggio are probably going to be battling for playing time a lot of the time. It's going to be matchup based. So I have one of them on the bench as well. Then you got Daniel Vogelbach, who I've absolutely been loving so far in spring training. I'm all in on Danny Vogelbach. Who's your fourth guy? There's Nathan Lucas, possibly. There's Eduardo Escobar, who hasn't been that good. There's Santiago Espinal, who was probably the favorite to have that bench spot. But then you get a left-handed bat and Joey Votto. I don't think it's hurting the team too much to have him on the bench. I'm starting to fall in love with this deal a little bit more and more as I think about it.
Yeah, no, and I don't think it's the worst thing in the world either. I think he's a big name. He would draw people to watch, which is huge. And do I think he's the needle mover? That's what I'm meaning. He's not going to be a needle mover. This isn't going to blow up, you know, the team and push them for an extra 10 wins or nothing like that. I do want to point out his WAR last year was a negative -0.01, so whatever. But yeah, no, I don't hate this completely at all. I think as a bench role, there is a possibility of this, and it's not the worst thing in the world. I think like I'm more open to this than Eduardo Escobar. Personally, I was pretty down on that deal. This I'm more okay with. He's a veteran guy. He really understands, knows the game. Yet he probably knows his role. He just wants to be out there with the boys playing some baseball. I don't hate that at all. If we get to a point where we want to bring him in, and this is something, whatever, that's a contract that we can use him, we can not use him, we can throw it away if we need to, whatever. I really am at the end of the day okay with this. I don't want to paint this as a picture of I don't want this to happen whatsoever. I just think it doesn't overly move the needle a whole lot. But again, like I said, for a guy with big name value, maybe not the worst move for the Jays.
No, and it has to be a pretty perfect situation for the Toronto Blue Jays. If he's expecting even $5 million a year, I'm saying, hell no, Joey Votto. You hit 202 last season. I'm not paying you that to play for the Blue Jays. But there's just the amount of, like, we've seen it with the Blue Jays so far this offseason with the Eduardo Escobar deal, the Daniel Vogelbach deal, some of these minor league deals that don't really affect the team anyway. So with Joey Votto, you're not going to sign him to a minor league deal because I think Joey Votto would probably laugh at the fact that you would even try to send him to AAA. He probably just wouldn't even play. Especially with a guy with such good career numbers. I mean, a 6-time All-Star, was an MVP, a Gold Glover one time in his career average.
Yeah, he's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, 356 home runs, a 64.4 WAR, incredible numbers for a guy, one of the best Canadians to ever do it, and that's why he wants to come back to the Toronto Blue Jays. Like you said, if you get him on that veteran minimum, what's the worst case of having another guy that's done it a ton of times before, been very successful in his MLB career? And he joins guys like Victor Martinez, who's already in that dugout. Edwin Encarnacion's already in that dugout. Justin Turner's in that dugout. It's another mind that these younger hitters can pick in for the Toronto Blue Jays. I think that when you're looking at the risk, he's got to know why he's coming in here, and he's not going to be expected to play even half the games. But if you can get Joey Votto in on this team, I think it is huge for the Blue Jays, not necessarily as much on the diamond even. You do get that little bit of a power bat that probably can pitch hit some situations. But the one thing we've been harping on so much this offseason is the seriousness of the Blue Jays. You think Vladdy's going to be screwing around at second base if Joey Votto's going to rip his head off when he comes back into the dugout? No, he's not. Joey Votto's always a guy that has the energy is skyrocketed high. He's always wants to be serious. He does have a few clips that I love watching of Joey Votto just messing around, but it's always kind of coming back to him being a little bit of a hothead. But I think that's something the Blue Jays need. You saw it with Josh Donaldson, one of your favorite players, retiring recently, how that Blue Jays team was in 2015. I think Joey Votto would be a great piece to add if you can get him for a low deal, definitely not exceeding more than $1.5 million, honestly.
Well, and this would be one of those stories, coming home story, guy come back to Canada, finishing his career, maybe winning a World Series, if that's too much to ask for. This would be one of those things where if all the pieces fall into play, it's pretty hard not to be romantic about baseball, right? Some money ball, right? This would be just a perfect scenario. Good Canadian Hall of Famer coming back to Toronto, pushing this, giving this team a push that maybe they need. Who knows, right? It's all what ifs and what if this happens. But at the end of the day, yeah, I think it would be pretty electric. I mean, just getting the fact to go and watch Joey Votto play in a Toronto Blue Jays uniform, that's got to do something to you as a fan, right?
Oh, absolutely. Like you said, we grew up watching Joey Votto, unbelievable Reds career. I think just to pay homage to one of the best Canadians to play baseball in a long time, it would be nice for the Blue Jays to have him back. And I think this would be a good deal for both teams. It sounds like Joey Votto just wants to play baseball, and the Toronto Blue Jays need a little bit more power from the left-handed side. When Joey Votto posted as well, Joey Bats was quick to comment, and he said, "Hometown team?" question mark. So if Joey Bats is in, I think you dumb it down as far as it can be dumbed down. Joey Bats knows a lot more about baseball than I do. If he's in, I'm in.
Yeah, of course. And you know what? You might have talked me into it. I was a little bit, skeptical because I don't know if it's necessarily what we need. But you know what? We got so many, it feels like random pieces already this year. Why not add in Joey Votto? Let's have some fun with it. Let's mess around. I'll talk Joey Votto every day of the week if I need to, right? It's
The,
awesome. So
think about it
it
from a perspective where, like Miguel Cabrera with his last year with the Tigers, he wasn't really producing at all. He was just there to have fun, kind of had it some at bats once in a while. And at worst case with this Joey Votto deal is he sits in your dugout on a veteran minimum. That's it. It's
yeah.
not like you're throwing the bag at this guy. It wouldn't really make a difference if he's effective or not in the Blue Jays dugout.
Yeah, and you know what? I will give you this. Having him in that dugout, like you said, I think it's just a big character piece as well, right? Starting to flip that mindset with Justin Turner, Joey Votto, all these, a couple more veteran guys around the team. Maybe gives this team, and we're already seeing it sort of. We're already seeing Bo take everything a little bit like, okay, we want to win now, right? Vlad, we want to win now. Okay, so with all these veteran pieces now in the back of their minds, this might be the push that they need to really take this super seriously. Okay, we want to win, and this is our time. So let's try. So I don't know. I don't know for sure. You know what? I don't know if he'd help. I honestly, maybe he wouldn't help. Maybe it'd be horrible, and we'd all be regretting everything that we're talking about right now. But it's one of those pieces that it doesn't matter. Let's throw it at the wall and see what sticks a little bit.
No, I agree. I think with Joey Votto, the risk isn't there, and his home runs are cool to watch. He's a cool guy to watch. Another big personality on this team joins guys like Vladdy, Daniel Vogelbach, bunch of big personalities. Kevin Kiermaier is there too. I just think it would be a lot more fun, especially for Blue Jays fans to watch as well. Even if the team doesn't reach expectations, at least we got Joey Votto on the Blue Jays team in a Blue Jays uniform.
That's right. And, speaking of home runs, we got a big one to talk about today. I want to get into all that next with some spring training news, stories, sort of a whole mismatch of stuff that me and Carter have come across this week and maybe just didn't have enough time to get into. Well, we're going to get into all that right away. Eating better is easy with Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals. Every fresh, never frozen is chef-crafted, dietitian approved, and ready to go in just about 2 minutes. You'll have over 35 different options to choose from every week, including Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Also, there are more than 60 add-ons to help you stay fueled up and feeling good all day long. What are you waiting for? Get started and get after your goals. 2-minute meals, fuel up fast with Factor's restaurant quality meals that are ready to heat up and eat wherever you are. There's pancakes, smoothies, and more. Discover a wide variety of easy options for the entire day, like breakfast, midday bites, and more. No prep, no mess. Factor meals are ready to heat up and eat, so there's no prepping, cooking, or cleaning needed. It's flexible as well. Get as much or as little as you need by choosing your meals every week. Plus, you can pause or reschedule your deliveries anytime. Factor is the perfect solution if you're looking for fast, premium options with no cooking required. Sign up and save. We're done. We've done the math. Factor is less expensive than takeout, and every meal is dietitian approved to be nutritious and delicious. Head to factormeals.com/lockedonmlb50 and use code lockedonmlb50 to get 50% off. That's code lockedonmlb50 at factormeals.com/lockedonmlb to get 50% off. We have some cool spring training news, and then I did tease that there is something interesting coming down the pipeline from us here at Locked On. I'll get into that at actually, maybe that's what we'll do at the beginning of the third segment for you guys, let you in on a little, I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to, but a little tidbit of information. It's Carter talking about spring training news. You got some stories for us, but the one I want to start on, I think you maybe want to start on as well, is Danny Burgers mashing baseballs as usual.
Yeah, a huge home run from one of our guys, Daniel Vogelbach. I'm fully in on this dude. But it was interesting today because in the first inning, he had one of the worst at-bats I've ever seen. Then in the fifth inning, a swing that didn't even look that great, but boy, did he ever launch that ball in the left field. It's so cool just watching Blue Jays like players launch home runs pull side. I know I've said this a lot on the podcast. And then just the Danny Vogelbach, a little bit of the style he has back there. He does it. He admires it a little bit, throws the bat down. And then just, his slow trotter on the bases. He's a bigger guy, and you might as well soak all that in. So I'm definitely on board for Daniel Vogelbach. Honestly, you might as well hit this guy 3 if he's going to hit home runs like that. Put him right in the top of the order. But honestly, on to some other news. Some nice news actually to see, as we covered on this podcast. Erik Swanson's son, Toby, was in a car accident where he had to be airlifted to the hospital. So they had talked to Erik Swanson for the first time since his child was in the ICU. And he said, "I stand here very happily telling you that in the next day or two, he should probably be going home." And a tweet per Keegan Matheson as well on Swanson said, "An emotional Swanson thanked the first responders in Clearwater that day for their work on his son, Toby. He also wanted to thank the Blue Jays teammates and their family for the support, and his wife, Madison." And he said, "I can't even put into words how grateful we are." So it's just Erik Swanson. It's nice to see that his son is making the full recovery. Obviously, a terrible situation, just freak accident that happened there. So Erik Swanson has been away from the team. It is nice that his son is doing okay, and he has all the love and support of the Toronto Blue Jays staff and fans at his disposal.
Yeah, and I think that's the good thing, right? Is sort of when something like this happens, it's baseball sort of takes not sort of takes a back seat. It takes a complete back seat. It's a lot of these guys. I know sometimes everybody thinks of them as these untouchable athletes that whatever. But then something like this happens. I think it brings everybody a little bit down to earth and is like, okay, these guys are people too. As much as we love to idolize them or put them on pedestals or tear them down. I think something like this happens and it just sort of brings the whole fan community together. It doesn't matter what team you cheer for, anything like that. So good to see that his son's doing okay and that he's going to be headed back home.
Definitely nice to see that Erik Swanson's son, Toby, is on the road to recovery and should be able to going back to school and seeing his family again soon. I think we should address probably something going on here. We brought it up earlier in the episode. Technology has not been helping us out whatsoever. So the good thing is we live in the same apartment. So I just ended up going into his room because we just kept cutting out every single time we tried to get into any Blue Jays information.
What would happen would be pretty much we'd talk, or one of us would talk. Okay. Then you'd be waiting for the response and I'd be sitting there like this. And then 10 seconds later, Carter would kick in. So whatever. We're here. We're together. So it doesn't matter. There's so much more Blue Jays news to get through, or not a ton, but like some little interesting tidbits here. So why don't you hit it right into those?
Yeah, I'm going to start it more so from the pitching standpoints. We have injuries from Yariel Rodriguez, had some back spasms, has been on track to get back into his rotational stuff in the bullpen, get back to throwing his live batting practices and in spring training stuff. Kevin Gausman has some shoulder problems as well. He's been kind of getting back at it. He's on the road to recovery. Alek Manoah didn't suffer any setbacks, but is not ready to go with this shoulder. So it is nice to see that Bowden Francis had a great outing today. He struggled a little bit in the first inning, gave up a few hits, struggled with his command a little bit, hit a batter, but only came out of it with 1 run. So his final stat line was 3 and 2/3 innings, had 1 earned run given up. He threw 55 pitches, 37 of those were strikes. His fastball was up to an average of 95.8 miles per hour, and he produced 7 whiffs. So for a guy that all of a sudden we're having a little bit of starting rotation troubles for injuries, and nice to see a guy having success in spring training who might have a bigger role than we're thinking of going into opening day.
Yeah, it should be interesting. We want to get into this quick third segment because there is something very cool that I got to participate in today that we want to let you guys know about. We'll do that right after the break here. This episode is brought to you by Amazon Fire TV. Fire TV is your destination for sports, from live games to highlights to in-depth analysis. Fire TV offers amazing viewing experiences with smart TVs, as well as the Fire TV stick that you can plug directly into your existing TV that provides access to millions of movies and TV shows, as well as free and live TV, whether it's opening weekend for baseball or the college basketball tournament. You're going to want to have Fire TV. Fire TV recently created the Fire TV channels to consistently supply the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free, and that includes all of us at Locked On and most of the big pro sports leagues, college conferences as well, which is is one of the coolest pieces, right? Is that I that's why I love doing this ad, because this ad actually is us. We are with Fire TV. That's where our shows get placed. It's very cool to see. It's a lot of fun for us. I just when I click onto the TV and there we are, it's sort of cool. So as you being Blue Jays fans, you guys are wanting to see our show. Hopefully you want to watch our show. It's on there as well. We got something huge coming that we'll hit into sort of at the end of next segment that we want to bring up as well. But again, just go check out the Fire TV channels on Fire TV and Alexa devices. If you haven't checked out Fire TV channels, you should. Trust me. To learn more, visit www.amazon.com/lockedonfiretv.
So we're going to get into a little bit more Toronto Blue Jays spring training news, and we're going to recap the weekend matchups for spring training. One thing I did want to go into before we recap the upcoming matchups is Kevin Kiermaier launched. And that is something we got to get hyped up as Blue Jays fans. We don't see it often. So when Kevin Kiermaier launches, we got to get fired up. And since we're here, I want to see you getting fired up in person.
Wrong arm. Yeah. I'm pretty fired up. It was awesome to see. It was very cool, especially for a guy hitting at the bottom of the order, being able to get that ball out. If we can see a couple of those from him this year, it's so electric. It's going to help us out so much. We're really also wanted to quick say, sorry about this episode. It's all over the map. But this is the only way it's going to work, because our internet, TV, whatever, is down the drain. It is horrible. My roommate's trying to watch the NHL game out there. It has been terrible. We're trying to record an episode. Terrible. And it was fine all day.
Yeah, it's interesting when you need technology to actually work. It just decides not to. But the good thing is, for me and the audience, I don't have to edit this. You don't have to edit this. He has to edit this. So It's not our problem. I mean, the technology, it does suck that I have to go into Braden's living space, unfortunately. It's interesting here to say the least. But we're going to get back into some pitching matchups for the weekend. So we got Chris Bassitt against the Yankees on Friday, which is the day this is coming out. We finally get to see our guy, Ricky Tiedemann, on Saturday against the Phillies. And then Sunday, we have Yusei Kikuchi. Chris Bassitt, we've seen him do it before. He's been working on a bunch of different stuff throughout spring training. Not too worried about him. Yusei Kikuchi, he's had a good spring training as well. Was good all of last season. So let's get to the main part of this. It is Ricky Tiedemann. What do you want to see from Ricky Tiedemann on Saturday for you to rule it as a successful start?
Honestly, just have an average day out there. Go out, figure out some stuff. I don't need to see the moon and the stars with this guy. I just need to see him have a good day, work on some stuff. And if he feels like it's a successful day, I'll believe him. I'll trust him, because as long as he's getting some of the feelers out there, figuring out some of his pitches, I'm happy. That's all I need to see from him. I'm not shooting for those stars here. Just have an okay day, go out there, relax, and throw the baseball like we know he can.
Yeah, as a media guy, I just want to see him throw strikes, locate his pitches, kind of just work on things that he's been working on all the offseason and through spring training. As a fan, I want to see this guy throw fuzz. I want to see this guy throw 98. I want to see him strike out 6 batters in 2 innings that he goes. But realistically, I want to see him go 2 innings. Maybe go get into some a little bit of trouble, but I want to see him work out of it. I don't want to see him give up any home runs, any big hits at all. But it's his first start. At the end of the day, we can't put too much into it because of spring training. But I want to see Ricky T to go to the moon. I want to see 6 strikeouts because Ricky T is going to be the guy of the future for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like that take a lot. The last thing we wanted to get into, I've been teasing it, dropping little hints. I got a great opportunity today to get together with some of the other Locked On AL East hosts, and it was very cool. We had a long discussion about different parts of the season. If it's who do we think the MVP is, who do we think is going to win the division, who do we think is going to come in dead last. We had a couple arguments. There was a few side eyes, rolled eyes, whatever you want to call it, but it was a lot of fun. I believe that will be coming out in a few weeks, I'll say. I think it's right before opening day, sort of. So it's coming. It's coming eventually. But watch out for that. That's good. That'll be on Locked On MLB. I think it'll also be just on the Locked On channel as well. And I think it'll be on the 24/7 streaming service on the Sunday night, I believe, before. I think it comes out everywhere on the Monday. On the Sunday night, it will be on the 24/7 streaming channel. So make sure you guys check that out. Tune in. They got all your sports, whatever you want to watch. But right now, we're getting into the heat and the big part of the MLB, lead up to the season. So it'll be a lot of MLB. So if you're an MLB fan, any team, go check it out. You'll have a bunch of fun. And I know you'll get to see us, like it or hate it. We'll be there too. So
yeah, I just wanted to say thank you guys for watching. Thanks for hanging on this episode. Lots of technical difficulties from our perspective. We've kind of been battling for the last hour or so to film this episode. Obviously, it's only going to be about 30 to 35 minutes. So yeah, that just kind of puts our struggles so far this evening into perspective.
Well, and just think, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're sick as dogs. Thursday, it was like, actually, was Thursdays okay? I think Thursdays was good.
Yeah, I was okay Thursday.
Fridays was just like, I don't know. Like, it's like the world's against us right now. The world does not want to see another Blue Jays podcast, but, too bad. We battle through and we get her out there. And we put a lot of time into these episodes. If it's us chatting throughout the whole day, every day, texting back and forth different ideas, what we're seeing from videos, stuff like that. So it is nice when these things do happen smoothly for us. So it's not, an extra 4 hours onto our night, but sometimes it's going to happen. And we love doing this. So that's what part of the job, I guess. So whatever, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's not always going to be smooth sailing, but that's the things you have to work for often in life. Is you gotta put some grind into it. You gotta put some hard work into it, even when things don't go your way. I just want to shout out our Twitters one more time that I guess in our move aren't on the screen right now, but that's all right. This is Braden5 Owasco, and I'm Carter First 2 on Twitter. I'm going to be going more on Twitter, especially when the season starts, because I don't want to overreact to too much in spring training yet and get absolutely roasted on the internet. But thank you guys for all the support. The likes, comments, and subscriptions are always appreciated. And we hope you guys enjoy your weekend.